So there I was, grinding away at the 9 to 5, the mundane routine of office life threatening to put me in a coma. Little did I know, the day was gearing up for a wild turn, courtesy of Karen. Yeah, Karen. We all know a Karen, don't we? It all kicked off after the office Secret Santa. Being from a place that ain't the USA, our version of Kris Kringle hit different. My desk was drowning in gifts, a bizarre mix of weirdly thoughtful and downright confusing. Among the loot was this dope scarf with deer patterns, and I'm all about that deer aesthetic. Fast forward to post office hours, I decided to swing by the liquor store, snag some wine, and have a chill New Year's Eve. But fate had other plans, and Karen was about to make her grand entrance. So picture this. I'm browsing through the wines, trying to decide between a red or a white. I noticed this woman giving me the up and down, eyes locked on my scarf. A little creepy, but whatever, people are weird. I settle on a bottle, bend down to grab my wallet, and bam, Karen's in my face. "Where'd you get that scarf?" she asks, eyes narrowing. "It's a gift," I reply, thinking that's the end of it. "Oh, my daughter loves deers." "Give it to me," Karen demands. Now, I'm thinking, lady, this scarf is my newfound treasure. But I'm polite. Say no and hope she gets the hint. But nah, Karen's persistence is Olympic level. "But my daughter would love it. Just tell me where you got it," she insists, practically leaning over my bags. I'm like, look, it's a gift, all right? I ain't parting with it. Karen, undeterred by the concept of gifts, keeps blabbering, getting closer to my bag like she's about to raid it. I'm dumbfounded at this point, wondering why Karen can't comprehend the simplicity of the word gift. Our convo hits a dead end, or so I thought. Karen, like a stealthy ninja, vanishes. I hear the door jingle and she's gone. Now, I ain't one to let things slide, especially not my cherished deer scarf. So I rush to check my bags only to find the scarf missing. Panic sets in, my mind yelling, "Karen, you sneaky scarf snatcher." I race to the cashier, ask them to guard my bags like they're Fort Knox, and hit the pavement, chasing after Karen. Out on the street, there she is, booking it like she's in a marathon. I'm dodging people, doing my best impression of an action hero, all for the sake of a scarf. And then, out of nowhere, Karen pulls a move straight from a spy movie. She stops, looks me dead in the eye, and hurls the scarf onto the wet pavement. Now I'm furious. Like, who does that? My beloved scarf hitting the ground like it owes Karen money. But at least I caught up, snatched it from the wet mess, and gave her the dirtiest look my mama would have been proud of. And there you have it, the saga of Karen and the great scarf caper. Lesson learned. Don't mess with a person's deer-themed accessories, especially when they've had a taste of office Secret Santa drama. Life's wild, man, but hey, I got my scarf back, and Karen probably went on to terrorize some other unsuspecting soul. Cheers to a memorable day in the life of your average scarf, wearing, wine-buying office drone. Hello, my friends and I had been talking about Karens after watching the Karen movie. We had rented it because our parents aren't relatively comfortable with us going to movie theaters with the pandemics. A friend of mine, who I knew since first grade, reminded me of the children destroyer Karen, the woman we never hoped to see again. A friend of mine watching was intrigued. Granted, she moved in the state after the Karen was gone when we were in 7th grade. I told her about it, and now I'm telling you. The 6th grade school year had begun for me. A few months later, a woman moved in, EM, with her 2 entitled kids in my grade, entitled daughter, ED, and entitled son, ES. With the signature Karen haircut, I didn't know what it was at the time. I thought she was just a normal woman. What I thought changed when the school year began. I walked to school with my amazing cousin in 8th grade at the time. We lived on the same block. You'll soon find out why she's so amazing later. Whilst crossing the street, we hear a horn. We look over and beside us, we see EM blasting her car's horn, yelling at the couple of kids crossing the street, including us. AC, isn't that EM? Me, yeah? AC soon noticed something in EM's car. A tall, halfway empty bottle of vodka. She knew because that was one of her mother's favorite drinks. She instantly started to run across the street now, hurrying me just in case EM was drunk. Me, what's going on? ACEM has a large bottle of vodka in her passenger seat. I want to make sure you're safe. I don't care for those kids. They cause enough trouble. She was talking about ED and ES. She lived next to them, so she knew most of what they were really like. She and her parents didn't tell me because they didn't want to get me, as young as I was at the time. In a situation like that, damn, I knew she was a Karen. That was the first time I heard the name Karen be used to describe a group of people. Anyways, unlucky me, ED was in the same homeroom as me. She was a total bully. Regarding the male classes, ES was as bad as her, maybe even worse as he tended to throw paper balls at teachers and students. In my middle school, there were female and male homerooms, including one that's mixed. I'd become a huge target of their bullying and came down with self-esteem issues and depression at a young age. I blamed myself, as they had targeted me due to my symptoms of ADHD, my shuddering, and even the issues resulting from their bullying. I hadn't told Etsy or anyone for that matter about it, but she ended up finding anyways. I was walking with my books when ES pushed me, making me drop my stuff. A seesaw from the corner of her eye and marched towards me. I was on the floor crying as I couldn't take it anymore. She patted my shoulder and gave me a hug, then got up and walked after ES and ED, grabbing them by the collar and dragging them toward the office. There were cameras they didn't notice in the hall when they pushed me. After seeing the footage and making sure a C didn't hurt those brats, they had gotten a punishment that was equivalent to a slap on the wrist, a 30-minute detention, while AC had gotten a 2-day suspension because ES and ED claimed she had hurt them on the way there, as they were the good kids near the teachers. Sadly, the bullying had continued and had gotten worse. One day in the 6th grade, teachers had a meeting. These meetings were for the whole week, so there were a bunch of substitutes. They treated the substitutes with no respect. This brought their reputations with the whole school staff down. They were no longer believed and monitored, which they ended up getting suspended multiple times. That's when EM full Karenness set sail. She started to deliberately harass children and seemed to be looking for me. I walked with a C. Karen would just stick up her middle finger when AC wasn't looking, and I held back tears. One day, we were very early in with a horrible coincidence. EM and her brats were too. AC had gotten thirsty, so she went to a park which was popular and near the middle school. It had water fountains with clean water. She told me to stay there, so I sat down and then I hear the signature. Excuse me? I looked up and to my horror, EMED and ES were there. EM, I hear that you and your cousin have been causing my children some trouble. I'll get your parents and that cousin of yours arrested and you'll have no one. It was something like that. EM continued to berate me when AC came by right behind her and her children. AC was tall, about 5'10" at that age, while Karen was about 5'2", and her brats seemed to have gotten their height from their father as they were a bit taller than their mother. AC, hey! EM and her brats looked at AC to their horror. She was back and she looked pissed as what had been happening to me caused her to have an extremely low patience for Karen. AC, you see, Karen, this is why your husband left you. He was probably tired of your nonsense. How are you going to berate a child and encourage your kids to help you along? That's why they've been getting in trouble. You're such a Karen and nothing will ever help that. EM had started to talk back, but suddenly AC had gotten closer, cracking her knuckles, and she ran off, dragging her children behind her. Over the next few months, EM's demon spawns left me alone. As far as I knew, they had found new targets. One of the targets wasn't having it. They had told their parents. One day, as me and AC were walking, we saw a woman about the same height as EM and one of the targets walking up to the car window. They had started an argument and EM ended up punching the kid, breaking his nose. Police had been nearby and they saw the whole debacle. EM was arrested and the woman had requested press charges. I, 34 female, work at a cafe as a cashier and I look a lot younger than I am. The cafe I work at is very homey and cozy and I love my job. However, I encounter so many entitled people, and the cafe reinforces the fact that people should act that way. Honestly, what the F? Let me give you a couple examples. An older lady walks in, probably in her 50s. She orders and adds one of our cookies to her order. You get half off when you get an entree and a drink, an incentive to get a sweet. No big deal. It's one of our cheap shortbread cookies that's iced. She wanders off with her daughter and cookie to wait for their food. I wander off to do tasks like collecting dishes and trash. I come back when I notice she's standing there at the register again. I ask her what was wrong. This cookie is too hard. I can't eat this. My first thought is no crap, Sherlock. It's a effing shortbread cookie. But I fake a smile and instead act as pleasant as possible. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. I want a different one. No big deal. I assumed she would want the sorted chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin cookie. Which one? She points to the most expensive cookie on our menu that is just over $5 a cookie because it's a chocolate chip cookie on crack. It's also harder than the shortbread because of the ingredients. My mind reels at this because it's both harder and more expensive. Then I realized in my head she just wants a free effing cookie. I'm pissed because I know she's acting like this to get something twice the price and size of the shortbread cookie for free. I calm myself and say, "Mom, that cookie is over $5. So I'm usually a calm person, but she was pushing all my red buttons. I have to keep my cool. I basically deny her pleasantly and walk to the back to get cups for restocking. I come back to the front and see my manager at the time, about mid-20s, and we'll call him Gordon, talking to this entitled Karen. He gives her the damn cookie she asked for, and I about lost my crap, so I walk back to the area where the caterer would be. However, she's not there, and it's in the way back. I'm effing fuming. He just gave in to this entitled witch. He comes back and explains that there is some crappy policy at the top of the receipts that if the customer is not happy, they come to us and we make it right. I explained to him exactly what happened and why I'm upset about her getting a $5 effing cookie for free. He says he understands, but policy is policy. Luckily, this manager no longer works there. It's like our store is single-handedly making it so entitled. Witches are encouraged to act like entitled witches. My second example was from when I first started working there, like within the first month or two. I understand this woman, but you gotta hear this. I'm the only cashier on duty, and the register policy wasn't as strict as it is now. So both registers were able to be used by whoever, no matter whose name was on it. Both are open. The first lady walks in with her, I want to say 30-year-old son who I can tell isn't exactly right. We'll call her Liz. So Liz and her son come up to order at the left register, and halfway through the order she realizes she forgot her wallet in her car, and her son isn't sure what he wants. She runs to get her wallet while her son looks at the menu board. NBD. Another customer walks in. The place is busy and drive, through and online, so I have no help. None. Normally I would ask for team lead or the manager for help, but they busy AF. So I moved to the right register to start taking the second lady's order. We'll call her Sammy. This is where it got awkward. I'm halfway through Sammy's order and she has to call her family for clarification on the order. Right as Liz walks back in. It went downhill fast. Liz gives me a dirty look and sits at the booth closest to the left register with her son to wait. I feel bad because I started hers and then someone else walked in. My attempt to appease everyone without making people wait has hit me hard. Sammy is still on the phone, so I walk to the left register and call Liz over. This all starts a crazy chain reaction of events that goes from Liz scolding me to her scolding Sammy. Then she realizes suddenly that I was just trying to please everyone and it's not easy on her own. The realization hit at a good time because my team lead got freed up long enough to take Sammy's order while I helped Liz. She felt the need to have some our mini chocolate chip cookies, and normally we don't give those out. They're 12 prepared tiny cookies. They're like $9, but I was so drained I told her just take them. She did apologize to Sammy and me, and the while ordeal was stressful. Needless to say, I learned not to do that again. So this was a while back before I got out of retail, but I figured everyone would like this one. Years ago, on Christmas Eve, the supermarket I worked at, that has since closed along with the entire company, had been extending hours every year. This year, the hours were extended until 8 p.m., and I was scheduled to work Christmas Eve for probably the 6th year in a row. I came in pissed since I had to drive from Long Island to the Pocono Mountains right after and just worked through thinking I was off for several days after. At 7:30, we made an announcement that we were closing then again at 7:45 and 7:50. At 7:55, my manager made an announcement that the store was closing immediately, and if anyone was still shopping, they would not be checked out. A woman finally begrudgingly brought a full cart over and loaded everything into the register belt. I rang it all up, and it came out to about $240. She had me run her food stamp card, and it took $60 off. The woman then began arguing that it should have covered everything, and I must have done it wrong. I told her I had one button for food stamps. There was literally no way to mess it up. She is screaming that she never spent that much and then asks me, "Could you pay for it?" It's Christmas. I told her I don't even make that much money in a week. She eventually paid for it, and I was able to leave at 8-9.